And that's why I'm announcing today that I'm running for governor.
You can hear the applause there. That is Fargo businessman Doug Burgum announcing he is running for governor for the great state of North Dakota. He's in front of a packed house here in Fargo this morning around 11 a.m. I was there. I mean, when he made the announcement, you could just feel the buzz in the room about his decision. What was interesting, he started off with a fairly long presentation, really taking you back to his family's roots here in North Dakota. At times, a very, very heartfelt, emotional presentation. He got choked up several times, specifically when he was talking about his dad passing away and then all the great people in our community that really stood by him all these years as he went out and did his entrepreneurial ventures. Then he went out and wrapped things up by saying he is not a politician, nor does he want to be. He wants to be an elected leader that does not necessarily fit into any typical political labels. He obviously feels he's got the skill set, which I think is interesting here, to change the trajectory of our state. Do we all want that? I don't know. And he also, one thing about that, was not really clear on what that trajectory would mean for where he was going to take us as a state as well. He was, though, crystal clear that if he does not get the endorsement at the ND GOP convention this spring, he will run in the primary and seek the nomination that way. We're going to have Mr. Burgum on the show as soon as he is available to have a one-on-one interview with us. Another person that was at the event today was Mr. Scott Hennon from AM 1100 The Flag. He hosts the show, which I love the title name. What's on your mind, Mr. Hennon? Great to have you here. You were there just like I was. Your greatest takeaway from the event today was what?
You know, I think it's a good thing, first of all, right? I mean, there's another choice. He talked about having talked to all the former governors and in part of making his decision. And one of the takeaways, I think, from John Hoeven was just consider yourself being interviewed for a big job by the voters, right? So if you and I are deciding who we want on our staff or in any particular position, you want more candidates, right? You want more applicants, you want more. So I really see it as a good thing. It's easy to get so cynical and say, what about this? And he's never done it before. And you know what? It's one more choice for the voters. And, you know, I think that's a good thing. As far as the impression, it's hard not to see that. I don't think there's a politician in North Dakota that could pull off what Doug did today.
No.
Tell the story that he told, which is real. It was a little long, but it was interesting. I was interested the whole time. You're right about the buzz. There was an electricity there. So I think this could change everything we know about politics in North Dakota in a way like Donald Trump could be changing everything we know about presidential politics.
And I think many people would be saying, hey, that sounds fantastic. You bring up a really good point. And Senator Hoeven, one of the things that was always great to watch him when he was at the campaign trail is what you just said, hey, this is a interview for the job of the people of North Dakota. One of the things, as you just mentioned, that jumped out to me about Mr. Burgum is that his entire life he's been an entrepreneur. He's done a lot of interviewing, but never really been interviewed. Just your thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, you know, I never did have a chance to visit with Doug before he made this decision, but we saw each other different things, and he said, I want to pick your brain sometime. And if we ever had that opportunity, I said this on the radio show today, I was going to say, do me a favor, go get the schedule for Jack Dalrymple. Go get the schedule for, and not that Doug isn't busy as, you know, previously a high-ranking Microsoft executive, but the governors are different in a whole different way, right? And, you know, I mean, you just do what you do, but just the constitutional responsibilities they have, number one. Politically, though, they got to be in every county and corner and ribbon cutting, and, you know, there's some things that would be very different than what he's done. On the other hand, he knows that. He knows everything. You can tell he's done his research and he's ready to go. So who knows? It's different. And I guess the one thing that I question on whether or not this will signify a big change. I mean, the voters are going to answer that question. To do that when things are as good as they are,
yes,
is one tough job.
And that's exactly what Wayne Stensham said is, hey, why is he talking about changing the trajectory of our state? Things are really, really good right now. So I want to get you to comment on that. But also, Mr. Stensham said this as well. He said, I'm disappointed that he said he will come to the convention, ask for the support of the delegates, but then ignore their wishes and run on the primary anyway. Your comment.
Congressman Kevin Cramer changed the rules.
But he didn't go and seek the nomination at the convention. He just said, hey, I'm here, but I'm going to go run right to the primary.
I understand. I think, you know, I just don't think that hurts him politically. You know, it hurts him with the 2,000 people. I think the bigger question, I don't know if you heard it, but there was you know, kind of an exchange in the press conference after about, we'll see what happens if I don't win at the convention. I'm sorry, if I don't win at the primary. And it was almost like, I'll run as an independent. Now, I don't know if you can. I think there are some rules about once you run as a Republican in a primary, then you can't switch to a different party and run the general. But he sure seemed to be indicating there might be even something past the primary if he doesn't win.
I want to share with you a clip from the press conference after he got done with the presentation. Then he had some reporters around him, just took a couple different questions or whatnot. But there was a part where he sort of challenged the press in the area to say, hey, don't put labels on me. You guys need to step up your game. And a local radio host actually called him out of this and said, hey, that is the most arrogant thing I've ever heard, trying to tell us how to do our job. I'm going to play the clip for you and give you a chance to respond.
A challenge to all of you, too, on just a personal level. I know when you're covering political work, there's a real desire to try to drive towards labels. I would just encourage everybody to understand that I'm a complex individual. Most labels don't apply. I didn't use any of those traditional labels today in my presentation, and so I will I just challenge all of you to dig deep and try to really see if you can write about me without using a shortcut that maybe doesn't represent the full complexity of my life and the work that I'm doing and how my approach to solving problems. So that's just a challenge for all of us to try to take our game up. Okay.
Challenge to take our game up. Is your game slacking? I mean, your thoughts on that?
He's not a politician. A politician would never say that because he would fear that they're going to be mad, right? So, on the other hand, I don't like some of the labels that get thrown on folks that are conservative like you and I, right? There's too many hyphens at all of politics, for crying out loud. So I get that. I think it's risky to challenge reporters.
But I think it's brilliant. If you look at what's going on right now in the current race, I mean, Trump sits there and goes, see these idiots that are sitting in the back of the room? They're, I hate these people. And I think he did a great job there from a communication strategy going, hey, guys, I'm going to preface this already. I'm going to set the frame of this conversation. Now, whether we abide by it or not is one thing, but smart man, last word, 30 seconds.
I would say I think he's also worried about, he was pretty prominent in the whole debate about if we're going to build our workforce, we need to change the Constitution in North Dakota to remove the protection of marriages between a man and a woman. He was very out front on that, right? So that would suggest pretty socially liberal, and I think he's worried about maybe, I don't want to be called pro-life or socially conservative and socially liberal and fiscally conservative. So I think that's part of a shot across the bow in that regard. But you don't have the luxury of deciding what people put in the way of labels.
No, but it's smart to try to communicate a way that you can develop the label that you want. Scott Hannon, thank you so much for being here again. Check them out 9 to 11 on AM 1100 The Flag. When we come back, we're going to get to your points of view. We'd love to know your thoughts. Hey, is Doug Burgum going to end up winning this thing and be the next governor of the great state of North Dakota? Text us, email us. Much more coming up right here on 630 Point of View.